gonna say in our last video, Danley Googled on on the video and then stopped while saying, "You know what? We're on the camera. I don't think anybody wants to watch me Google when we can see Tenet."
I do that a lot.
Have you seen it yet?
No. I was waiting for you.
That is so sweet.
Yeah, it's mostly a lie. I just didn't get around to it.
Oh, okay.
But also I was like, hey, that would be a lot of fun to go see with Kirsten and Pookie.
Yeah, and no Kale.
No, he's not interested. I did ask him if he was interested.
Well, isn't it R?
I don't think so. I don't know. It could be. If it's R, he's not going.
Well, I can't go as a pastor either.
Yeah, if it's R, he's not going. If it's PG-13, he doesn't want to go, so it doesn't matter.
And on that, let's start the show. Bam, 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 bam. I do that every time, but we never actually start the show.
What is that music?
That's got to be the Blues Brothers.
Yes,
yeah,
that's what it is.
Oh,
so great.
I took a picture of the Blues Brothers.
That's what they're the car chase, right?
Yeah.
And they're driving through the mall, all chill.
Yeah, that's it.
We're on a mission from God.
So I took a picture of the Blues Brothers car with the Blues Brothers singing at Universal because their rules were way more lax. And their rules were like so much more lax than they were at other places. Hey, you want to start with some personal updates?
Sure, let's go for it.
I just got back from vacation.
Yeah, I've been waiting to hear about this.
Well, here you are. Here we all are getting to hear about this for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, so a few things. First, shouts out to the fabulous, talented, and wonderful James and Lisa Carberry of Orlando, Florida. James actually runs the B2B Growth podcast, which everybody should be listening to, especially if you have I
know I should be.
Have a B2B company. Their stuff is phenomenal. And James's company, Sweetfish Media, that produces a lot of podcasts, is also really, really great. I can't recommend them highly enough, but they let us stay at their place out in Orlando, which was great. Lisa works for Disney, so we got a lot of insight into some of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes with the cast members. That was really cool. She works at Epcot and trains dolphins for some of the animal encounters that I'm trying to use proper terminology, the animal encounters that they have. So that was really cool getting to talk to her about how those things work. And
instead of animal money pets.
Yeah, essentially, yes. Yeah. So that was really neat. And how they've had a weird response to COVID there, because she has to continue to work with the animals, right? So just because like Disney couldn't have people there and they were shut down didn't mean that, nobody just went to go and hang out and play with the animals. So they actually got to do quite a bit of like behavioral research with the animals while COVID was happening, because they had the sort of the undivided attention of the dolphins and the manatees and all of these. They
all of a sudden have all of this free time to use. Where they're
not performing.
It used to be 6,000 little hands reaching in the water.
Yeah, and they're not having to do encounters with so this was another thing I didn't know about Disney, is you can pay to do these encounters. So like you can pay $200 and have a personal dolphin encounter. Like you don't get admittance to the park, but you do get to hang out with a dolphin for a few hours with a dolphin trainer. They talk to you about the dolphin and its environment, and you get to ask the dolphin for behaviors and then give it fish and swim with the dolphin and like all kinds of really awesome stuff. Now you can't do it right now because you can give the dolphins COVID. And nobody wants. I don't know if you can. I'm just talking.
That's better than saying.
I mean,
we didn't go.
Yeah,
it was shut down.
We're mammals.
Yeah.
So is that, and you can do it at a lot of the different parts.
It goes in their blowholes.
Yeah. So I mean, if it's transferred by water droplets, the dolphins are pretty well hosed.
Yeah.
If you do that. So But we just had a phenomenal time, and they were very great and gracious hosts. We got to go to all the Disney parks. We got to go to both of the Universal parks, and because our flight got pushed back, which if people are worried about, like gathering together in churches and the danger that might pose, I want to highlight two things to you. First is that last week the CDC came out and said, if you are stationary with a mask, it will do you no good after 30 minutes. Because if you're in the same spot for 30 minutes with the same people, you have breathed around each other enough.
Especially in an airplane. I mean, it's circulated air, right?
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
Right? And airplane capacity is 75%.
Okay, so not that much diminished.
Right.
Especially when it was already sardine can packed.
Yeah, so when you're in a tube
Yeah.
full of like nearly 130 people and you are on a 2.5-hour flight, why are we wearing masks?
You may as well take them off.
Right. According to the CDC guidelines, they have become useless. But
So
also according to CDC guidelines, at a church, you can be at 50% capacity as long as everyone is properly physically distanced. We're not using socially distanced anymore because we don't want people to feel like they need to distance themselves from other human beings. That could be detrimental to them. So
this gives me such tired head.
yep. So as you are physically distancing yourself from people at your church that you might be at for an hour, you are said to be endangering them. However,
are there any protests going on at this church?
In a tube, no, I'm just saying just in general.
Okay.
But if you're in a tube with 130 people that have no way to physically distance from one another,
circulated air, don't forget that.
Circulating air with a place
sealed
that the
tube.
actual CDC says that your mask will not work, totally fine.
So they not give out drinks and peanuts?
Okay,
peanuts are gone, but
they do, but they're in a bag. So they give, like, as you enter the plane.
So how do people consume these with masks on?
Well, that's a great question.
They take them off to drink
right.
your Jack and Coke, but
yeah, no, you can't drink your.
if you want to talk,
little
you better
petite,
zip that little.
Your 4-ounce water bottle that they give you.
Yeah.
You can drink that, and you can eat your nuts that are from I kid you not, from a woman-owned company. It says on the little bag of nuts, and it's like cashews and pecans and something else, and it says
What?
on the bag, it says in bright pink letters, a woman-owned company.
That's pertinent information.
Well, and so I was a little frustrated about it at first. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And I'm not frustrated about it because of the company, right? I think that a woman-owned company that's marketing themselves as a woman-owned company,
It's
great.
Smart. It's smart.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant for you. I'm not going to get upset with you for
Capitalism
making money.
Taking the opportunity of a free market that's
for
available.
Some,
for some being very targeted to minority-owned.
Right. And so, like, I wouldn't have a problem if my wife came home and was like, hey, I get these because they're from a woman-owned company. Or I might even be inclined, whenever I saw something, to say, like, here's, pecans from Planters Peanuts, and here's stuff from a woman-owned company. I might be like, you know what? I'll give those a shot. That's a bold marketing. Hey, we're a woman-owned company. You're throwing it out there. I think that's awesome. What I thought was frustrating is I felt like they were purchased because American Airlines was virtue signaling to me that they bought stuff from a woman-owned company, and that's the only reason that it was on there. I think it's brilliant branding by the company. I think it's very smart for them to go that angle. I also think what American Airlines is doing is smart by virtue signaling. It's just frustrating because I feel like that's what I feel like somewhere along the lines it's disingenuous towards the product.
Yeah. I was about to ask how were the nuts?
They were great.
They were top notch.
They were
top
really,
notch girl nuts.
Really well roasted.
Is that the name of the company? Girl Nuts?
Yeah.
Nuts for girls.
By girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By nuts, by girls, for girls.
All. Yep. So
for everyone who
never mind,
I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, so it came in your bag, that you got when you got onto the plane, and it was in like on the way there, it was in like a favor bag, like a goodie bag that you'd get like at a party with party favors in it. So it's
like as you're boarding, they give you a little bag.
Yeah, they give you this nice paper bag with handles on it. It looks like a gift bag, and then it is a 4-ounce water bottle. So
they serve on the plane too?
No.
Okay.
And then a hand sanitizer, and this was only like a 2.5-hour flight, right? So they suspended drink service though, but those were the things that they would give you as you're getting on. So okay, cool, whatever. I'm sure that makes something easier. Yeah, I mean they're not walking up and down with the trolley, so that's got to be more helpful, right? Because that looked like a dangerous proposition anyway.
It is a dangerous proposition, right? If you're a big dude in an aisle seat. Yeah. And you're trying to take a nap, and that little cart comes along and bangs
crashes
your elbow.
Yeah. Yeah, as not a big dude that ended up in the aisle seat, like it's uncomfortable then as well.
I think they target big dudes.
Well, probably.
Who are leaning over a little bit. Because this happened to me it hasn't been happening a lot, but every single time it's clear I got nailed in the elbow. Yeah, they're coming after you. And they just keep on going. They don't say anything. I'm like,
right. Yeah,
you saw me. I was asleep, okay, but you saw me.
You know what you did.
Yeah. You could have said, oh, sorry.
No, they didn't. They just smashed your elbow and then went off.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it does. It helps on that aspect. On the way back, they just had the things in Ziploc bags, which didn't make me feel any more or less safe. It was just weird.
That's trashy, too.
Yeah. It felt...
Here, sicko.
Yeah. It
Have
felt,
some water.
It felt a little
Clean
World
yourself
War Z-ish. Yeah. Here, take this. Go take your seat.
This woman
That's not how my flight attendant sounded. She was really
This woman sounds like Roz from Monsters, Inc.
Take your seat.
Mike Kozowski, you didn't finish your paperwork.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So anyway, we because American Airlines had overbooked our flight for Saturday, they pushed our flight back a day, and we actually got to enjoy a day at the beach.
Did you get some
which
vouchers?
Was really nice. No.
No, it sucks.
No. Well,
you did get to stay at the beach. That is a good point.
In order to get the vouchers, we would have had to have gotten to the airport, turned in our rental car, and whatever. When they told us, they were like, "Hey, you're gonna get pushed. You can pick your flight time now, or when you get to the airport, we can discuss it tomorrow," kind of a thing. It's like, let's just pick our stuff now so that I can call the rental car company and say, "Hey, look, we need the car for another day," versus driving, because it's a half hour to the airport, driving to the airport, dropping the rental car off, going to the check-in booth, and then being told hey, we can't do anything, fighting for a voucher, and then having to walk back down to the rental place and try to get
that doesn't sound like a very good end to a vacation.
No, it doesn't at all. And I wasn't going to put the wife through that because she was having a really pleasant trip.
Good.
Yeah. So we got a day at the beach, which was the last day, and it was phenomenal. Cocoa Beach.
Okay.
So it was really great. Got to swim in the Atlantic and just chill and hang out. So the day at the beach was awesome. Now let's talk about the trip itself. Right?
Okay.
So 4 Disney parks, Hollywood Studios, Epcot, Magic Kingdom, and Animal Kingdom in order. That's how we did them. And then on Friday, we did both of the Universal Studios. Very different experience from Disney to Universal in a lot of ways. Not just because of the properties that they owned.
Was one geared more towards kids and Universal was more towards teen, adults, whatever?
Disney was more on lockdown than Universal was. And I don't know why. I'm sure it has to do with a myriad of things. Not the least of which is that Disney owns so much of Orlando because they've got the 4 parks. They've got Disney Springs or Downtown Disney. They have a water park. They've got all kinds of things that they're responsible for. And this was something really interesting that I found out that I had not known. They employ nearly 72,000 of the 300-something thousand people that are in Orlando.
Dang.
Nearly a third of the people that live in Orlando are employed by Disney. So everything that they do has a significant impact on the city's economy.
Mm-hmm.
And because Orlando's primary thing that drives them is tourism. Because SeaWorld is also in Orlando. And
SeaWorld is not doing too hot either.
So is which I didn't know this, so is the Florida Holy Land Experience. Where they've recreated Jerusalem in Orlando.
What?
Dude, it's the weirdest thing. We drove by it and I was like, what the heck?
So there's like the Wailing Wall and...
Yeah. Yep. Just right in the middle of Orlando.
That's really odd.
It's bizarre.
Because like Vegas does that where they've got the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, but Vegas is different.
Well, I'm saying like they have attractions that are romantic.
Sure, yeah.
Jerusalem is awesome, but I would not say.
Yeah, well, do
they have a wall with? Never mind.
Yeah, we couldn't go into it, right? And it looked still very shut down. Yeah, there was a wall.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the dual state wall? Is that what you're bringing up? You're such a jerk.
I know.
It's all graffitied.
Yeah.
So there was that area that was present, and we passed by it, but we didn't do anything there. And so we started with Hollywood Studios, which is the smallest of the parks, but it's the hardest to get into right now. And I wanted to go for one reason and one reason alone.
Star Wars.
The new Mickey Mouse ride. No, yeah, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. It's right there.
That's what I want to hear about the most.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it last because it's what you want to hear about the most.
And with the big one.
Yeah, so we'll just do the quick reviews of the other parks. We get to go to Epcot. Epcot was great.
Yeah, go fast. I don't want to be bored.
Right, so we came during the food and wine experience, which meant that there were special food kiosks that were open that aren't typically throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
And so we basically like ate our way around the world. So they were like really cool things. Like they had a Maine lobster roll that you could get.
Q Vivaldi.
Right. Where they said that it's 48 hours between when the lobster's caught to when it's actually used in the roll, which is why they only do this for a couple of times during the year. So we did that. That was really cool. And got to ride a couple of things. Got to see the beginning of the Guardians of the Galaxy ride that's going up at Epcot, it looks really awesome. We got to see some of the guts of that as they were building it. It looks like it's going to be a ton of fun. So that was Epcot. Epcot was great. That is the park that our friend who hosted us, his wife works at. And so we got to see some of that. We didn't get to do any of the behind the scenes stuff because of COVID. But Disney's really a stickler about the masks. So the mask has to be covering your nose and mouth. You have to wear it on every ride. And if you are not wearing it, then a cast member, which is what they call all their employees, will call you out.
So Mickey Mouse comes out, I was like, ha, hey,
well,
hey, buddy. Ha.
That's
you should have been wearing your mask.
Wow, that's an awesome Mickey.
You better come with me. Ha.
The characters weren't there.
So it wasn't a character. It was like a...
Right. So the cast members, they call even the regular employees, like the people that are working the concession stands or the food booths, as it were, or that are just walking around like running the rides, are all called cast members. So the cast members will be like, make sure your nose and mouth is covered, or will you please pull up your mask or pull your mask over your nose. And so we had the picture deal.
What was the temperature like?
It was hot.
Humid too?
Yeah. And so it rained every day that we were there, except for Saturday. And so, like, it would rain during the middle of the day, and so we bought ponchos so that we could just continue to ride, because most of the rides are indoors, so that we could continue to ride everything during the day.
So in Galaxies, we're not there yet.
Yeah, no, we're not there yet. So
people want to skip ahead.
Yeah, sorry, not going to happen. So one of the things that was so crazy about the experience at Disney is that none of the stuff that you expect to happen at Disney was happening, in the sense that, like, there were no shows, there were no fireworks, there were no lights. Well, that's
kind of a bummer, like the parade at the end.
Right, yeah, the parades weren't happening at all during the day or at the end.
Huh.
And any character that has a line that's part of a group called Equity, which is the Disney like actors union, they weren't there. So like Buzz Lightyear would be there because Buzz Lightyear is like a mascot, but like Ariel's not there because Ariel talks and Ariel sings. And so,
unfortunately,
it was some weird, it was some weird stuff.
No, I'm just playing. Ariel's awesome.
Yeah. So it was just odd.
So everyone that in their repertoire of characters that you would need a mask, Kylo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kylo was
any
there.
Of the cartoon people.
For the most part, yeah. We saw Buddy. We saw Woody. Buddy. We saw Buzz. We saw Woody.
I was following you.
Yeah. Who else did we see? Like the toy soldier. A lot of the Toy Story characters were there. Mary Poppins was there because Mary Poppins didn't have any lines. Aladdin was there because he just stands and waves. But anybody that would have had any lines. So none of the shows are happening. So that was a little bit weird. However, we got to ride all the rides, which was great. So Tuesday was Epcot. Wednesday...
And the lines weren't bad?
Not at all. Wednesday we did Magic Kingdom, where my wife basically...
That's a trade-off. I'd take that trade-off.
Yeah.
No characters, but no real people or lines to speak of too much.
Yeah, to interact
I'm on
with.
board.
So Wednesday we did Magic Kingdom, where my wife punished me. And I don't know why. I don't know what I did that upset her, that she felt like I needed to go on the It's a Small World After All ride.
Oh, yeah. It's not even the original one.
Okay.
The original one's in L.A., right?
Yeah, probably.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so first, why does it exist? Second,
because it was a thing in like the 50s or
I don't like
whatever.
dolls.
Yeah, it's creepy. I actually opted.
Is horrible.
When we went to Disneyland, my wife, my mom, and my son went on that ride, and I opted out.
Yeah, I would have too. It's 5 minutes of terror.
I was a conscientious objector.
Yeah, no, it was horrible.
I bungled that, but.
And then we went on the Carousel of Progress.
What?
Yeah, so it was apparently a huge thing in the World Fair, and it's a spinning. So like the theater stays in the same place and it's a circle, and then the audience shifts around, and it's a fully animatronic thing. It's a little weird, but it shows how electricity has changed everything, and it takes it from the turn of the century, and then you've got somebody that's like the 60s, somebody that's in like the 40s, and then somebody that's in the 2000s where they're like, we just got internet.
Did they have one with the when the light bulb was invented by that black guy?
Wow, Joe Biden.
Joe Biden's latest gaffe.
Oh man, I don't know how much news we should get in it, but today he said that Trump is actually the one that's trying to defund the police. He never said he wanted to defund the police.
What?
Yeah, blatantly ignoring last week whenever he said that the police should be defunded. So whatever.
Okay. Well, moving on.
Poor guy.
I'm sorry for derailing back.
Yeah, thank you. So
that's my job, is you tell stories and I derail you.
Yeah,
I try to.
And you do a great job.
Yeah. Sometimes I fail, but I try again.
Typically speaking, you do phenomenal.
I'm doing it again right now.
Yeah, there we go. So we did those things. Magic Kingdom was great. We got to eat at Be Our Guest, and because they were taking walk-ups, which apparently is a really difficult thing to get into. It's Belle's castle, Belle's and the Beast's castle, and so the Beast was there, but Belle was not. I mean, we ate in the ballroom. It was really expensive, but it was great food.
The Beast is the best part of Beast and the Beauty of the Beast, anyways.
Right. And so that was really cool. Kind of fulfilled like her, other than Jasmine, her favorite one is Belle, and getting to eat in the ballroom in the Beast Castle was just phenomenal for her. So
did they have like? I'm sure they did. Describe for me what it felt like to be there, like what you saw, what you felt.
It looks just like the cartoon.
So everything's moving. There's candles and dishes.
So the dishes and the candles and stuff, a lot of the animatronic stuff was turned off.
What?
Because they can't clean it.
Because of COVID.
Right. Yep. And so like your waiters are wearing masks and the tables are more spread apart, but it was still really cool. It was awesome. We had some of the gray stuff, the dishes.
Try it. It's delicious.
Stuff. It's delicious. Don't believe me, ask the dishes.
What was the gray stuff?
It's like a gray mousse.
Is that pate?
It's like a mousse, and it's with dessert,
so it's dessert,
and it's great. Yeah, they didn't have. I thought they were gonna have foie gras because it's French, but they didn't because it's illegal to make in the United States.
Okay.
Because the way that you like have to fatten up a duck in order to get it to make good foie gras, you basically you kill the duck in the process. It's very, very awful for the animal itself. But they had a chicken liver pate, which was great.
What about escargot? I think she
had
had that too, if I'm remembering.
I don't know if she did or not, but they didn't have that on the menu at the time. The menus were really limited.
Okay.
But I had the braised pork, was phenomenal. She had a steak. It was great. And then the next day was at Animal Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And so Animal Kingdom I'd never been to Animal Kingdom because everybody was like, oh, it's the worst park. Animal Kingdom's got some really cool stuff now because they have an entire wing that is nothing but Pandora from Avatar.
Yeah.
And so that's
supposed to be amazing.
So there's this Pandora river ride that you can go on that's very cool, very immersive, and they use a lot of the new lighting tricks and things to make stuff look like it's moving.
Mm-hmm.
And it was unbelievably cool. The Pandora ride where you get to ride a banshee was awesome. It was an impossibly large screen that's in front of you. You sit on it like you would, like you get into the harness.
It's like a saddle. It's like a saddle.
Yeah, right? And you're like leaning forward onto it. You have your chest pushed up against this thing.
You take your ponytail and
you plug it in
and do the thing.
Yeah,
I remember what they called it.
Merging ponytails. I don't know.
Yeah.
So you don't get to do that. I didn't have a ponytail, but when the animal flaps its wings, when it breathes, when the banshee does anything, the pads on the ride will expand and contract so that you can feel it. When you're like riding under waterfalls and stuff, it blows mist into your face. If you pass by a place that stinks, it blows stink into your face. Like it's a complete like 4D immersive ride. It was very, very neat. And it's 4.5 minutes long. They say the line can get up to 6 hours long to ride that ride. But we didn't have to experience that. It was about 20 minutes.
That's awesome.
And most of that was just because the line is so long itself just to walk through. And then we basically walked right on it. It was really great. I would strongly recommend, if you have motion sickness, don't do the visual rides. Right? Like the ones that are outside can be okay. I've never had any issues with motion sickness or anything. Doing 2 or 3 of those rides that are all like screen-based, where your brain knows that you're not actually making the movements as dramatic as they're making, can rattle you a little bit. But the Banshee ride was so awesome. And then we went on the safari. Went on the safari early in the morning, got to see a ton of animals that were out, which was really cool.
The safari ride, I think they just made a movie, right, with I think The Rock was in it, where it's like based off of the ride and ended up being a terrible movie because it's...
Are you talking about Jumanji?
No. Nope. Different jungle-based movie.
A movie based off
Pretty
of
sure.
the safari ride.
Of the ride.
Which the ride is just you in a truck going
No,
through...
I'm thinking the riverboat. So that may be the one that's in LA, but it's the jungle cruise.
Yeah, there is a riverboat jungle cruise
movie. I'm pretty sure The Rock is in it.
Stop. No way.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
I don't know if it's out yet, but it's very possible, and I just ignored it.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, no doubt. So,
but anyways.
So
you're in a Jeep in this one.
Well, like a 6-wheel like a 6-axle or 6-wheeled, van bus kind of thing. And it was cool. And I would highly advise, if anybody goes to Animal Kingdom, do that early in the morning because all the animals are out because they're feeding.
Oh, this is a legit
this
safari.
Is it. Yeah.
Okay. Not at all what I was picturing.
They allow the animals to free roam to an extent. So like the lions are like way up top where they can see their prey. And so they're overlooking it. And Disney does a great job of masking where the enclosures start and stop. And so unless you really know where they are or how they've divided things, it's really difficult to tell.
It looks like an open jungle.
It just completely looks like you're on an African Sahara.
Somewhere you see Randall being chased by a rhino.
Yeah, so we saw a couple of rhinos. One of them had a baby, and I was like, oh my gosh, I remember this story. I'm just going to take off, like look out.
Yeah.
But it was so cool to get to see that. The animals were out. The rhinos crossed the road in front of us. It was a little intimidating, but very cool. And so that was great. And then Universal, we went to Harry Potter World on Friday.
Did you get a wand?
I will say we did get a wand. I got a wand for Kirsten. And you have to schedule the experiences now. So the first couple of times that I went, they've got an Ollivanders on each side, right? So that if you can't get to both parks, at least they can still sell you a wand.
The important part.
Right.
I mean, good for them.
Yeah, smart move, right? Yeah. So when we went, we had to schedule the experience, and you can only go with your party. So instead of it being like 30 people crammed into that tiny little Ollivanders shop, it was just her and I. And the experience was for her. So she's standing across from the... like the wand matcher, and I'm over to the side. So I've got a great video of her.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh man, it was like the one-on-one experience from the movie.
Yeah.
So she was just elated, and her wand was made of birch and unicorn hair. And then she just shows it to me. She's like, "Oh my gosh!" I was like, "Yeah, we're getting it."
Did he? I'm guessing it was a guy that matched her?
No, it was a female.
So did she like read Kirsten and be like, we need ponytail for you, and whatever. Yeah, okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So they tried a couple of wands, and the ones that they tried didn't work. The first one didn't. It killed some flowers, and the second one rattled everything that was on the shelves.
Sell it.
And then the third one, as soon as she picked up the third one, I was like, bum, 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 bum. and she waved it, and all the lights were like whoosh, whoosh. It was really cool. She was elated.
Yeah.
And then they gave her the wand, and she got to see it, and I was like, oh, well, I guess we're buying a wand. But I had already told her that I wanted to get it for her because there's a lot of stuff that you can do in.
I've heard throughout the whole park you can interact with it, right?
Yeah.
So hold on. So before we move on.
Yeah.
Did you not get a wand because you already had one and you brought it with you?
No, I did not get a wand.
Did you already have one then?
I do not have one.
Okay.
No, I've been a couple of times, didn't get the wand. But the wand price has become way more reasonable. Like the first time I went, the wands were like $120, and there wasn't any of the interactive stuff. Now they're like $50, which is still a lot of money to pay, but it's a cool souvenir. It's a cool story. We got a cool video with it, and she got to go around the park and like make stuff happen.
That's probably what I would get if I went.
Right.
Because I don't want to get a stuffed animal or a T-shirt.
But she's not huge on souvenirs.
I'm not either.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I agree. I think that's one thing. And actually, my son has one. He went to the one in California.
Right. But it enhances the experience.
Yeah. And he's got the cloak with a little pocket, wand pocket.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that was a ton of fun.
I thought
my favorite ride
Go ahead.
Was at Universal.
Okay. What was it?
It was the new Hagrid ride. So you know how Hagrid's...
He's got all these pets, right?
Well, you know his motorcycle?
Yeah.
That it's got
the little sidecar?
Yeah. So on the Hagrid ride, you ride either in the sidecar, and when you ride in the sidecar, you have a regular experience like on a roller coaster. The roller coaster goes forward, it goes backwards for a little bit. There's a drop that feels like it's about 10 foot. I can't imagine it's more than like 4 to 6 though, where you just drop straight down, and it's terrifying. But in the sidecar, it feels like you're riding a roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
The number one position that you can be in is on the motorcycle. And when you ride on the motorcycle, there's not like a safety bar in front of you. You are in the seat. There's a thing that goes over the front of your legs, right? Just about mid-thigh. And you lean over and you hold the handlebars of the motorcycle. We were in the front both times. So I rode the motorcycle the first time, and then she rode it the second. We were in the front both times, and it was the most exhilarating ride I've ever been on because it feels like you're riding a motorcycle on a roller coaster.
That sounds awesome.
Dude, it was the coolest ride experience that I've ever had. And just pure ride. Now, let's get to the main thing, because the greatest feeling that I've ever had at a theme park came Monday when we went to Galaxy's Edge. First off, I'm going to give everybody that's listening a caution. If you go to Galaxy's Edge, do not expect to get on the Rise of the Resistance ride. There is a list for it, and it is open 2 times a day to get on the list. If you are not on the list, they will not let you on the ride, and you have to be on it like immediately. So the Rise of the Resistance is like this a few minutes or several minutes long immersive experience. I know several people that have been on it, and each one of them felt like a completely emotional, like overwhelming sense whenever they got off the ride, because it is not only a completely immersive Star Wars experience, but you get like thrown into the world in a way that it makes you feel like you're a member of the First Order. And it's supposed to be absolutely incredible. There's a limited number of spots at the beginning of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can register, and right now it's at 10 a.m. or at 2 p.m. And if you do not get registered, as soon as it opens, you can't ride the ride. So we actually didn't get to ride the ride.
Dang it, that sucks.
Right, so that's the one thing that we really didn't get to do. And the second thing that we didn't get to do, and we thought about asking, but everybody told us that the Star Wars area is different because Star Wars fans are so much more rabid than regular Disney fans.
Just imagine if they had a Rick and Morty area.
But, well, good grief.
Yeah.
So we didn't get to do that, and we didn't get to go eat at the cantina, which we were originally going to do because we had it scheduled another day. But
so you didn't get the blue
next
milk?
Time. No, we didn't get any blue milk.
Wasn't that from The Last Jedi?
So the Last Jedi had like green milk.
Yeah,
in
okay.
it.
I know it was some kind of weird milk.
And in A New Hope is where there was the blue milk.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, we did the Star Tours ride, which was great. It was a lot of fun. And then we got to go into the Millennium Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 5 positions.
Did you get to walk
in the
up the
Millennium
ramp?
Falcon. Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
And so there's 5 positions in the Millennium Falcon. There are pilot, co-pilot, gunner, and engineer. The engineer fixes the ship during the flight. Hondo Onaka asks you to help do a smuggling thing, and Chewie's going to let you borrow the Millennium Falcon.
She the purple hair?
No, Hondo is the guy with the spiky head from Clone Wars. He's the pirate guy that's like, my friends, all the time. Yeah,
okay.
Wears like goggles. Yeah. So then there's 2 gunner seats, and then there's the pilot and the co-pilot. Kirsten piloted, I co-piloted. And if you've ever seen the movies, you know that when you're the co-pilot, what do you get to do?
You get to engage the hyperdrive?
Yes.
You get to move the 2 things
I got to pull. No, you pull back. I pulled back and got to engage the hyperdrive on the Millennium Falcon. And while the Hagrid ride was my favorite ride, my favorite moment of the entire trip was getting to live my boyhood dream of grabbing that lever and pulling it back to engage the hyperdrive. I don't know the last time that I smiled so big. To me.
Yeah,
it's so great.
When you were running up the ramp, did you turn around and go like pew 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 pew?
You better believe it. Yeah, it was awesome. So that experience was absolutely phenomenal.
Did you yell at C-3PO?
So
he wouldn't have been in there.
No, he's not. He's not in there. But the ride, going up to the ride, the Falcon outside, everything was so cool.
It looks awesome.
And, the thing about Disney that's so great is that nothing is there that doesn't make sense, right? So we got, and I should have brought them, the bottles of Coke, right? They're balls that look like the grenades. They even, instead of having the regular screw top, they've got a grenade.
It looks like
top.
A thermal detonator?
Well, no, because the thermal detonator is totally round.
Yeah.
So it looks like the, what are they called? Not the impact grenades.
Ion grenade? I'm just trying to think of science fiction.
Yeah,
words.
right? No, they're not the ion grenade. I'll think of it in a minute.
Okay. Plasma grenade.
So I think it's like an imploder grenade or like a thermal imploder, something like that. That's what it looks like.
That sounds fine.
It's freaking cool. Everything also is written
the brand
in
still,
Galactic
still on there,
Basic.
Though? It still says Coca-Cola on it.
It does not. It says Coca-Cola. It does. It says Coca-Cola in Galactic Basic language.
Sweet.
Dasani water bottles, same way. The trash cans look like... so George Lucas's idea was that the galaxy would look lived in, and it does.
Yeah.
There. The trash cans look like the trash droids.
And everything is a souvenir at that point. Like
everything's a souvenir. Everything's a prop.
You brought it back. I would too.
Right. Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. There's something that we got to be privy to that apparently not everybody does. So let me let you in on a little secret here.
Okay.
Across from Luke's speeder. So when you go down the shops, right, there's a little alcove that you can go into that has all the little shops in it. Well, there's a path right by that. And as you're going down the path, on the left-hand side, you're going to pass Luke's speeder on your right. And then on your left, there's like a little wall. And behind that wall... there just looks like a little place that you can walk around, and there's like a weird little entryway. If you go to that entryway and you knock on the door and you use the password Spire, they pull you back into this lightsaber speakeasy.
Oh my gosh.
Where they will give you a lightsaber experience, and we didn't get the full experience because of COVID, but they will pull you back to a lightsaber experience and talk to you about how Luke or Darth Vader or a couple of others.
Like their fighting styles?
Well, they talk about their fighting styles, but it also talks about the legend of their lightsaber, and they walk you through creating their lightsaber as they tell you the story of the legend of this person.
That is attention to detail that I'm talking about.
Oh, man. It was
a little secret
incredible.
area.
And then they can, then you can kind of get whatever. So they've got several legends that they do. Luke, Darth Vader, Rey, Anakin.
Vader. Hands down.
Yeah, right. And then, so with Vader's, it's supposed to be weird because it's not, he loses his lightsaber. Mm-hmm. And so it becomes like this whole other thing on how he got his, which I'm completely fascinated by. Everything that happens in the experiences at Disney is canon also. So like whatever they tell you, the legend of Vader and all that, like it's canon. And that's how he got all of his stuff. So they've got Mace's lightsaber that you can build, and I got to tell you, it's awesome.
The purple saber.
Yeah, and his has a special hilt. His trigger's different than everybody else's. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, he made George Lucas give him a purple one.
Yeah, so he could find himself. Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson did. They have Asages, dual sabers. They don't have Dooku's. They've got Mauls. They have
Mauls is pretty awesome.
Yeah, they've got.
I don't care for the prequels, but that little, really anything with him in it with Ray Park,
phenomenal. Yep,
unbelievable.
They also have. They've got Ahsoka. I'm trying to think if there was anybody else like of note. No, I didn't see his. Right, but like most of the time he just
his power wasn't really the saber.
Right, but anyway, so they've got all of those, and they're phenomenal. They're heavy.
So you got to hold them.
Oh yeah, we got to hold them all. That's awesome. And then you get to create your own if you want to, where you get to pick and choose the pieces. Now, there's two different ways that you can create your own. There is the one that's open to the public, which is like you create like a plastic one, right? That's cool, and you get to pick and choose all the pieces, and would be a great like kid's toy. But then there's the speakeasy one,
or for a special low price,
right? Where we didn't price them out, but they're heavy duty. They're solid metal. They have a lifetime warranty on them. It's freaking sick. And I wanted one so bad.
I would too.
That was probably Kirsten's favorite part of the trip, was getting to do that, because she like held the lightsaber.
Of the whole trip or just to Galaxy's Edge?
Well, I think of all the Disney parks.
Okay.
That was, when we were talking
about it. That is pretty
awesome.
It
was incredible. And it
would be hard for that to not be my favorite
right,
too.
And you got to go there. You have to know the password in order to do it. Now, what I found out, remember I was talking to you about the Disney experiences? Mm-hmm. There's a Star Wars experience. And the Star Wars experience is really different than all of the rest of them. Because, so like, with a lot of the other ones, you don't get a pass to the park. Now, with the Star Wars experience, you have to buy a pass to the park. And then you have to buy the Star Wars experience.
Can you pay to have Rian Johnson walk you around the park and tell you how he would ruin it?
Whatever. How he would make it better. How he would stay true to form instead of placating to a bunch of 60-year-old men who are the actual children. Anyway, whatever, however you feel about The Last Jedi. So with that experience in particular, it's actually only like $100, but you have to buy your park admission.
Yeah.
So you have to get into the park, and then you can buy the Star Wars experience. And from what I understand, you don't know whether or not it gives you access to Rise of the Resistance guaranteed. However, if it did, I'm telling you right now, it would be worth the price of admission. What you do get, though, is you get $35 worth of food or merchandise, which comes up.
Which you're probably going to spend anyways.
Sure.
Yeah.
So if you've got $100 that you're going to spend on an experience, and out of that you get $35 worth of food or merchandise, well, now that's been bumped down.
$65.
Right. And in that, you get guaranteed rides on the Falcon, which is why I think that it's probably guaranteed Rise of the Resistance, because you're paying that, but I couldn't get that confirmed. But you also get to go behind the scenes on all of the rides, and really, they say it's a give and take, because it does ruin some of the magic of how everything works. But I think also if you're a Star Wars fan, like learning about the mechanics of how everything works, like that's part of the fun of it.
Yeah,
right?
Pop the hood. I want to check it out.
Exactly.
Give me some wire strippers. I'll fix it.
Right. So you get to go back behind the scenes and all of that stuff and see how the Falcon works. There are specific character interactions that you get whenever you're a part of that you don't get with anything else, that are supposed to just be like mind blowing. Like Chewie takes you on part of the tour of the Millennium Falcon.
And you're like, what?
Yeah.
I can't understand you.
Yep. It would be I just think that would be absolutely incredible to be able to do that. So I think next time when we go, because there will be a next time, we're going to try to do that behind the scenes tour. So also,
and definitely get on Rise of the Resistance.
My wife got me something that was incredibly cool. So she is tired of me having glasses that have scratched lenses on them, because I've had the same pair of sunglasses for like 15 years.
Yeah.
So she got me these. These are called the Oakley Clifton, and they are, according to Oakley, the most functional pair of sunglasses that they've ever made.
They also make you look like Dr. Ock.
Yeah, which I sort of love.
Yeah.
Right? So
they definitely look like villain glasses.
So they're made for mountaineering and
for chasing Spider-Man.
Yeah, so mountaineering, fishing, snowboarding, things like that. And so they've got these little things on the side that look very steampunk-esque.
Yeah.
That block the UV rays, and this little piece of their unobtainium, right? PRS does non-obtainium. This is unobtainium. Unobtainium that goes in between the nose pieces and covers the top part so that you don't get reflection in, so that your eyes can't be sunburnt by snow blindness or reflections coming off the water or anything like that. They also have the prism glasses, so I don't know if you can see through those. I'll have to show you in the daylight because it makes everything, it blocks out a lot of the blue. And so you can see everything in high definition. One of the cool things about these, though, is that they're modular. So the sides come off,
cool.
Right? So that if you're not mountaineering or you're not like me and want to wear something that looks steampunk all day long,
I would just wear those.
Then you're gonna switch.
No, now you look like a Jewish grandma. When you're coming over, okay. Now I'm not getting.
You're going.
I was going New Yorker, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna stop and get this road.
So they look a little hipstery that way, but
I like the full.
I do too.
Go with Doc Ock, baby.
Full metal jacket.
Yeah.
I think it's great, and so I'm gonna have to make sure to wear these on our interview with David Baker that will be happening soon.
Sweet.
Yeah, which I'm really excited about. Yeah. So there's my week.
So that keeps it
nutshell.
from getting scratched on the inside.
What?
Those things. You said she was tired of you having.
Well, she was tired of me wearing glasses that had. So
she just wanted you a new pair.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
And
she did a good, and she picked that out.
Yeah. And also there's like these little tabs here that peel off so that you can put your. It came with a stainless steel.
You can put your weed in there.
Cable around yes. Like a little stainless steel. You're such a dork. I apologize to any members of my congregation that happen to be listening to this atrocity.
Yeah. I'm sorry too.
Yeah, no, you're not.
No one should be listening to this.
So
just like South Park, no one should be listening to this under any circumstances
or watching that. But now so you know, a lot of people will put like the little thing that goes around the back of your neck so that you can't lose your glasses.
Yeah.
This has a steel cable that goes around there, and then
steel cable's cooler.
And the glasses actually like part of the temple.
If you take all the modular clips off,
yeah,
and then you have a little neck chain, you'll really look like a Jewish grandma.
I want to see if maybe she can get one. Like we can strand some pearls on it,
and
just really do the whole thing.
Call your grandson and ask him if he's coming over after Briss.
If he was old enough for Briss, he would be answering a phone. Oh my gosh. You talk about it like it's brunch.
Yeah.
By the way, gross that you hosted a brunch still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a small brunch.
Doesn't matter.
It was a very intimate affair.
You're making it worse. So, talk to me about your last week. What'd you do? Did you work or stuff?
Oh boy. My last week is going to fill a whole like 20 seconds.
Okay, come on with it then.
Shortest
podcast ever?
I did try. I did successfully cook my first brisket.
Yeah? How'd it go?
I was not happy with it, but I knew that going into it. It's the first one.
Yeah.
It got too hot. I had to go leave and go get some sausages.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, those were fantastic.
Yeah.
A smoked sausage.
Ooh, yeah.
Gosh. But when I came back, I had tossed some coals in before I left. And I came back, instead of being like 250, which I was around, it was like 375. And I was like,
oh, yeah, a little too hot.
So it was a little dry and a little tough.
Okay.
But altogether, it's still edible.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah. That was my Labor Day. I spent all day eating sausage.
Good man.
And then I ended with some brisket that was decent, especially for a first try. It was decent. But yeah. I already bought another one. I'm going to try it again probably this next weekend.
Attaboy.
Probably this weekend.
So we did have dinner Friday night at Disney Springs on the Boathouse, which is this really like difficult to get into restaurant that is a boathouse. And it was delicious. I had a tuna steak that was in a spicy tomato shishito pepper glaze.
And you knew what that was.
I did. Because of you.
Yeah.
I also, because of you, had a very false sense of security.
Why?
So, do you know what shishito...
In which way?
Do you know what shishito means?
Shishito. No.
Mm-hmm. It means the spice of the lion.
Supposedly like 1 in 10 are spicy.
1 in 12.
Yeah, I have never had that
experience. I got one.
Okay.
It was awful. Because
I've been growing them.
Dude,
this is my second year growing them. I have 3 plants. I've grown up for the last like 8 years. My mom has had them. Well, she got me into it.
Right.
I've never had one that I thought was extraordinarily spicy. So I don't know, but I've heard that. It looks like 1 in 12.
Bro.
Just rip your hair off.
Oh my gosh. I took a little bit of a bite of it and I was like, oh man, this sauce is really spicy. And I had Kirsten try it and she took a little nibble of the pepper. She was like, oh, that's really hot. I was like, right? She told me the sauce was just a little spicy. This is really hot. And I didn't think, because it's a shishito pepper, I was like, this is the pepper, this is the spice. Well, man. So I bite the whole rest of the pepper off. Mind you, this pepper's like 4 inches long.
And the seeds are hot.
Yeah. It lit me up like very few things ever have. And I think it was mostly because I was caught off guard by it.
Yeah, you're expecting a sweet experience.
Right. And then I thought, at first I thought it was the sauce.
You got a line of love experience.
Oh my goodness. And so I asked the waitress, I was like, these are shishito peppers? She's like, yeah, like 1 in 12. She goes, well, it stands for like the heart of the spice from the heart of a lion. Is that like most of the time you never see like a lion roar, but every now and then it will. And when it does, it's pretty terrifying.
I can't think of one time. And I've had them at restaurants. I've grown them.
I will tell you, when it happens, you're going to be caught totally unaware and you're going to regret it. So
what color was it?
It was green.
Okay, I don't know.
Right? Because all the ones I've gotten from you, like I ate literally like 24 of them.
Yeah.
Like the couple of nights before we left.
Brought that bag over?
Yeah, I ate it that night. I sauteed them, ate them that night. They're delicious.
Did you add some soy sauce to it?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
There's a bunch of other ways, but that's my favorite.
So good. But yeah, lit me up. I was dying.
Huh.
It was one of the more painful culinary experiences I've ever had. And that's the only way to describe it. Like, it wasn't hot, it was painful.
That's so odd.
Dude.
Like, I don't know if it's like,
I don't know.
I don't know how to produce that. I'll just say that because
I'm going to say if you haven't yet, don't. Because if your wife gets a hold of one of those. I don't want to. I'm just saying. Like if your wife gets a hold of one of the spicy ones, it has the potential to be rough.
I've even been concerned because close to my shishitos, actually right next to it, I have jalapeno and habanero. And there is some concern. At least you kept
your Carolina Reaper away from
the
them.
Carolina Reaper is far away, but
naturally.
But there is some concern for cross contamination, or not cross pollination.
Okay, yeah.
But still,
can they cross pollinate?
There are some peppers that you can. I don't know which ones. Supposedly, the poblano can cross pollinate with the jalapeno, I believe. There is some of that. Like I read quite a few times, when you're growing them, separate the really hot ones from the ones that bell peppers. You don't want to bite into one thinking it's a bell pepper and it's a bell pepper size Carolina Reaper.
Dude, I will tell you right now, that was the worst thing. And I do not want a Carolina Reaper experience based purely on my
I don't want a Carolina
experience.
Reaper experience. I'm growing them, but I don't want that.
Yeah, you want it to be available to others if they would like to do it.
Sadly, I don't think I'm going to be getting a crop off of this one.
Why?
I'm still learning, but I think this one is female because I haven't seen any of the stamens on it because I can't get it to produce even. There's a ton of flowers, buds on there, and I'll break them off and kind of try to help them pollinate. But I got real close, real good look. I don't think it's. Yeah, I know that's a thing with some plants. I think this is one.
Wow.
So I haven't had one bud or one.
Right.
I guess it
would
be the bud. Yeah. That's a little bit of a shame.
Yeah, no kidding. What do you do?
Stop taking care of it.
Well, there you go.
Teach it a lesson.
All right. Hey, how about this week? This week's here's some stuff that I like. What have you got?
You go first.
Oh my goodness. 1984. I read it. Haven't read it in a really long time. George Orwell's book, 1984, which was written in like the late 40s. Phenomenal. Cannot recommend it highly enough to go ahead and read it. And a follow-up from my last here's some stuff that I like, was Not the Bee. If you are a Babylon Bee or Discern subscriber, you get a free subscription for a limited time to Not the Bee. And I say for a limited time, for a limited time, any of those subscribers get a free lifetime subscription to Not the Bee as long as they maintain their subscription to the other websites. So really cool. And
we are friends of the Bee and Not the Bee.
Yes, the Bee and Discern and Not the Bee. And it's been really great. That's where I found the story we were talking about earlier where Biden says that Trump wants to defund the police was actually on Not the Bee. They've got the quote from him because it's real news told humorously versus satire or real news told in a journalistic way, which is what Discern is. So it was good. It was really cool to get to see that and to now be participating in that. It also has a really robust social media feature, which is incredibly cool.
Especially for all the Babylon Bee subscribers.
Yeah, so it's the Babylon Bee.
There's already
the Discern subscribers, and a lot of us have the same usernames on all the platforms. And so we're constantly commenting on each other's stuff. Well, now we can comment on each other's statuses and posts and stuff directly, and it's really, really needed. They've created a very cool, very robust community at Not the Bee. So that said, back to 1984. 1984 was phenomenal. Have you read it? Like, did you have to read it for school or anything?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so a lot of people understand the idea that it's sort of this, what do you call it? Dystopia of the future, and Big Brother's watching, and it's all it's the thought police and all of this kind of stuff, which it obviously it is. That is sort of the crux of the book. But you follow this guy named Winston Smith, and if you haven't read it, you need to read it, and you should probably fast forward until you hear Danley primarily talking again about his stuff that he likes. I've always heard about that stuff. I've never heard anybody talk about the third act. So the book's broken up into 3 acts. Mm-hmm. And in the third act, you see Winston, who has been like challenging everything and has been thinking through how he feels about all this. Well, in the third act, what they do is they really begin to explain this thing called doublethink. And doublethink is when you know the truth and yet you see a fallacy and you believe the fallacy is true over the truth. Right? Okay. So right now, let's use our video for an example, right? So if you guys are watching the video podcast, you'll see that we're against brick walls. Now, we're actually in a room that's green screened. We get 3 green screens that are all around us so that we can pull ourselves out of it and create the brick wall illusion of what's behind us. It fills a purpose for a lot of the other shows and things that we shoot in the same space. You know that it's a green screen, but what you're seeing is a brick wall. Okay? And you might see little dots and edges and stuff as the program, is allowed to fill the spaces.
As the Matrix glitches.
Right. And essentially
something changes.
And essentially it's the same thing. Right, that you know that it's a green screen, but you see it as a brick wall, so you believe that it's a brick wall. Doublethink is really that same thing, that you, even though you know that that's not the case, you just believe it. You believe the lie because the lie is more convenient or the lie is better for you or whatever. So they've got 3 ministries, and then you know that like the ministry of truth really tells lies in order to revise history, that the ministry of peace is really the military and is constantly at war. And you also know that the ministry of love is actually the place where they take people and torture them. And so in the third act, Winston gets captured by the thought police, and the entire third act, up until like the last few pages, is all about how they torture him in order to bring him back to complete submission. And there's this thread throughout the story. There's tons of foreshadowing in it, but there's this thread throughout the story, these people that disappear because they've, started to formulate their own thoughts and are starting to realize that something's up and they're a little too smart for what's going on. And then they disappear, sometimes for a few months, sometimes for a few weeks, sometimes for a few years.
But they come back adjusted.
They come back and they're zombies.
Yeah.
They're kind of zonked out and they're not given real great jobs, and they like are sort of just weirdly floating through everything, but they start to do everything that everybody else does. Right? So they're participating in the 2 minutes of hate and yelling and screaming at they call them the telescreens. that are coming up that are talking about these terrorists. They're cheering for the death of people and all this kind of stuff, right? But they're not quite the person that they were before.
So many parallels of what you're describing.
Dude,
that sounds like what
you've got to read this book.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I've heard about it and heard about it.
Right. And like I had too, and I'd read bits and pieces of it.
Yeah.
But we all hear about like the Big Brother part and the stuff that happens in the beginning. You have got to get to the end. There's a part in the middle of the second act where it explains a lot of what's happening. It's about 15 pages long in the version that I read. And it's really hard to get through. And I think a lot of people stop there because it is such a trudge. But if you get through that and you get to the third act, that's where all of a sudden everything starts to happen. And you really see like how far back the curtain is pulled on all of this stuff. And one of the things that they say in particular is what separates them from like the fascists and the socialists of the past. Like in 1949, he's talking about Nazi Germany and Russia. And he's saying the thing that separates Oceania from them is that those places tortured people in public. Even the Spanish Inquisition, right? They burned the heretics in public, and it only emboldened them and made them martyrs. The difference than what they do is they do it all behind closed doors. So nobody gets to see it. Nobody gets to enjoy it. All they do is to break the spirit of the people. And then once they've broken them, they re-release them so everybody can see them broken. They're like, oh no, this person that was radicalized is now the same as all of us. Mm-hmm. And then the thread that they weave...
He's watching CBS at night just like everybody.
Right. And so the thread that they weave through it is that all of those people, after they come back, they disappear again and are given some sort of weird and bogus charge. And what actually happens is that they're like walking down a hallway somewhere and somebody shoots them in the back. And so they never see it coming. They have been completely tortured and succumbed to everything and all that. And you don't know, like, when... I won't tell you how the book ends, other than like Winston's journey in the third act. The first two acts set it up brilliantly, but Winston's journey in the third act is gut-wrenching. And it took me an hour and a half to read those 15 pages that I said were just a trudge to get through because I was on a plane and I was fighting sleep. Then I fell asleep a couple of times. So it took me an hour and a half to read those 15 pages.
Kept getting woken up by the cart.
The last 75 pages took me an hour and 10 minutes. I devoured them. They were so good. And I never hear anybody talk about the third act. Everybody talks about newspeak and yada, yada. But the third act is all about doublethink, and it's about Winston's torture and how they are trying to get him to submit to the authority of the idea of Big Brother. And it is terrifying. And really, it parallels a lot of the stuff that we're talking about. Or that we have talked about in the past.
It's uncomfortable.
Societally.
It's really uncomfortable hearing you talk about 1984.
Yeah. So have you... Well, you know what? Let's talk about your
Yeah, sure. Since yours is so much better than mine.
But no, mine's just dark. I feel like that tends to be like, oh, here's a really dark thing that Lucas dove into this week, and you're like,
and then here's Danley's dumb thing.
No, here's Danley being like, no, guys, please, we can still have fun on this show.
Mine is the new Batman comic.
Oh yeah, did you like it?
The one you got me, yeah.
Yeah.
The 3 Jokers. It's awesome. It's episode or it's a
issue 1. Right. And the other ones are supposed to be coming out really soon. I think it's 6 issues total.
Yeah.
And I'm really pumped up. You actually have you got the cover with the Joker on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 3 Jokers. It was very
good.
Did
you give Kale all those little posters?
Yeah.
Or did you keep them for yourself?
No, I gave it to him.
Okay.
I mean, they're folded up still. We haven't put them up, but
right.
But he loved it. And the
cool.
little card, the playing card was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really cool. It dives into, I won't ruin anything.
Yeah.
Since we're only one issue in anyways.
But we'll promote it, right? And also,
it's very cool.
If you want it, go to Google Boomerang Comics and get it from Neil. Give Neil a shout or look up Boomerang Comics Inc. on Facebook and snag one from Neil. Neil's a good friend and hooked us up with those. It's awesome.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
I'm in for the long haul. I mean, I love Batman. But.
And I liked Christopher Nolan's version of Batman, and I liked Michael Keaton's Batman. Speaking of, did you see that in the new Flash movie that Ben Affleck is reprising his role as Batman?
I saw that.
And so is Michael Keaton.
Yes, I saw that too.
which
I was waiting on Christian Bale.
I am really excited about that.
Oh yeah.
Because of all the multiverse
I'm guessing
stuff.
he's not going to be in the suit.
Keaton? Maybe.
That actually may be the best way for him to be in the suit.
Right, unless he's old Bruce.
Yeah.
And if he's old Bruce,
he's such a goofball now, Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
he did good as Vulture.
He did, but I can't get past Multiplicity.
Yeah.
Which, did you ever see that?
A long time ago.
Okay, so Multiplicity,
Beetlejuice
he was
for
like,
me.
Oh man, that one was brilliant too.
Yes.
He was so good.
Yes.
And Tim Burton loved him.
Yeah.
For a time.
Because
they haven't done. Out? No, I just don't. They haven't done anything together anymore. So.
Well, he should. He was also great in Birdman.
Yeah, he was.
He's a great actor.
Agreed. Yeah.
But anyways, so.
Yeah, so the Batman comic is cool. I have not gotten to read it yet.
Well, I'll bring it up here.
Well, no, I have a copy. I just haven't gotten to read it because I left right after I.
So there's three iterations of the Joker. That's kind of what this takes on.
Okay.
There's three at least very famous different things that happen. One is where the Joker shows up.
The author of this particular comic is like the guy that revitalized Batman way back in the day.
Oh, so he probably wrote a lot of these then.
Right.
Because there's one that the Joker shows up to Barbara Gordon, a.k.a. Batgirl, her apartment, and shoots her through the spine. Yeah. This is he paralyzes her, and she becomes Oracle.
Okay.
She's in a wheelchair.
Right.
There's one where he kidnaps Robin and tortures him and then shoots him in the head.
Okay.
And sends a video to Batman. And that was the Jason Todd Robin. And then Batman goes and gets another Robin and moves on with his life. And then that Robin ends up not being dead. This is not in the comic. This is history for he comes back as Red Hood and he murders people. Yep. He's murdering bad people because the Joker corrupted him. Mm-hmm. And then there's another one. The first iteration, I believe this is this one when he first fell into the pit. This is back in the Detective Comics, I believe. Right.
Yeah, in the actual DC comics.
He was Red Hood also.
Yeah.
He had this stupid red, huge cone that he would that actually many different criminals would wear to have a criminal mastermind that didn't really exist.
Right.
And they duped this poor guy into going as Red Hood, and he falls into a pit. So the Joker was made entirely on accident. He was not a mastermind. He was
right.
I don't remember what he was before that, but
he was a comedian according to Joaquin Phoenix's version.
I think he was a comedian in this one.
Yeah.
But it groups these three really famous Jokers that are in different comics in one comic. It's very cool. It's a good start.
Okay. I'm interested.
And Batman he again, I'm not going to ruin anything, but he arrives home. He's got all these bloody bruises and cuts, and Alfred's stitching him up, and he starts hearing about these murders that are going on in 3 different places. And they all were the Joker. And he's trying to figure out how that's possible.
Because it's 3 Jokers.
It's 3 Jokers. At least that's the tease.
Wow.
That there's 3 together, and I do not know how. It's super cool.
That sounds really awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so
that's my thing that I like is the 3 Jokers. Thanks, buddy.
Which is also dark.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's Batman.
We kept it dark. Have you noticed that on HBO Plus that they've got some Batman cartoons? Like the original Batman cartoons that we grew up on?
The animated series?
Yeah, they're on HBO Plus now.
Sweet.
Or
HBO Max.
HBO Max, yeah.
I went back and watched some of those because I love those too.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on Amazon Prime at the time. That was like a year or 2 ago.
And there are a couple of like the 1 and 2 part series with Kevin Conroy versus Mark Hamill that are supposed to be just really cool and very raw. Like The Killing Joke is on.
I love
whatever it is, HBO
Max
now and all that.
Because that just came out. They did that not that long. I want to say it was a year or 2 ago.
It's a few years old.
They actually made the cartoon of The Killing Joke, which is a very famous graphic novel.
Yeah. And it is not funny. It's a bad joke.
No, but it does end very well.
It does. Yeah, it's dark.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I just saw that some of those things were released. Speaking of things that got released. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to switch gears from Batman. So if you've got a Batman thing.
I'm not done with Batman.
Okay? Yeah. Because I was about to go to Mulan.
Also, something else that I like from this week is Kevin Conroy, the very famous voice actor of Batman. Probably the true Batman, at least in my book.
I'm still on Will Arnett.
Yeah. Will Arnett is hilarious, and I love Lego Batman, but he's not Batman.
I think that Lego Batman is the best Batman. But I
disagree.
I don't think he's the truest Batman, but I think he's the best
version.
One. Yeah, I think I don't want to do that. No.
I definitely think there's something there to what you're saying.
Yeah.
There's something with his weird humor and dark, over the top, very meta.
Yeah.
I think there's something there. But Kevin Conroy, he lended his voice as Batman to the Waze app.
What?
Yeah. So you can now.
Is this a limited time thing?
No, I don't know.
Because they did that with Arnold, and I got really disappointed that Arnold was a limited time thing.
I don't know. But all I know is he gave me directions out here.
Was it amazing?
Yeah, because there was a car wreck ahead, and he said, "There's a car wreck ahead. This happens in Gotham all the time." I'm not doing their voice right.
Still
nailed it.
That's amazing.
And I was playing.
Here we go.
I don't remember what song it was, but it was a Linkin Park song, and
I roll.
And with Waze, it update again. Like it gives you the voice announcements for everything that I don't have all the other apps doing. Like there's a wreck, or you need to slow down, or you need to exit.
Cop up ahead.
Yeah. They give you all these stupid updates. And so I was listening to Linkin Park. There's a part of the bridge from whatever song it's called where he just yells "shut up." He's like, "Shut up when I'm talking to you."
Yeah.
And so Batman would talk, and then it'd go, "Shut up when I'm talking to you." I actually have the video.
Oh, you videoed it?
Hold on, I'll play the audio. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, well, as you look that up, I would like to mention that something came out this week on the Disney Plus. Now, if you've got Disney Plus, you might not know that in order to get some of the movies, you have to get the Disney Plus Premiere, which is that you have to pay $30. It's not $30 a month. It's $30 for the premiere, and then you get the movie. So it's cheaper than going to the theater and doing it, which might be.
What else do you get other than Mulan?
Well, you'd have to pay $30 for whatever else came out. But
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, play your video.
Okay.
In half a mile, keep left. In a quarter of a mile, keep left.
All right, you're gonna have to send me that so that we can watch the video for the podcast. But yeah, so we saw Mulan on Friday night whenever we were in Orlando. I did not like it.
Yep.
It was so. Have you seen it?
Nope.
What was the last live action Disney thing that you saw?
I was forced to go to Aladdin.
Oh gosh,
I was forced to go
that.
to Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast was pretty good. As far as the remakes go.
I don't like any of them.
I liked Beauty and the Beast as far as the remakes go, and I really liked Cinderella. And Cinderella was the first one, and my mom really wanted to go see it, and a couple of times a year, I try to just take my mom out, where it's just like the two of us, we'll go to dinner and a movie, just as like an opportunity, because there's so much happening with life.
Yeah.
Right? And especially now that I've become a pastor, and even more so now that I'm married, that there are just a couple of times a year where I want my mom to know that I care about her and that our relationship is important and all that. So, this is something I started a long time ago, like 10, 15 years ago. Just made this a practice probably right as I was graduating high school. And so we went to go see Cinderella because she was really excited about it. And I really liked it. I thought the live action version of Cinderella was great. I thought the live action, Maleficent. I thought Maleficent 1 and 2 were interesting.
I was about to say, is that Maleficent you're referring to, or there was an actual remake?
No, that's
not even on my radar.
Yeah, there was a Cinderella movie, which
I also
thought
liked
was great.
Maleficent.
Yeah, and then we saw Maleficent 1 and 2, which I thought were both good movies.
I didn't see 2.
It's pretty interesting, and the storyline, the way that it flows and stuff is very cool. I didn't see Aladdin. I wouldn't do it. I saw The Lion King. The Lion King was horrible, and so we saw Mulan, and there's no character development at all. So moving back to Batman, Kirsten had never seen any of the Christopher Nolan Batmans.
Yeah.
So we
specifically The Dark Knight, which is like my favorite movie of all time. It's top
amazing.
3.
So we finished that last night. So we watched Batman Begins, and
you have to.
Well,
good setup.
Mulan is almost 2 hours long, and Batman Begins is just over 2 hours, and the character development is insane.
In Begins?
In Batman Begins, yes.
Yeah.
And and even though it's a character that everybody's familiar with, right? In Mulan, there's no character development at all. And instead of you saw the animated version, right?
Oh yeah, I love the animated version.
Okay, I didn't see the animated version until I was laid up with knee surgery last year.
Okay.
So I didn't see the animated version until I was like
Eddie Murphy as Mushu.
Right. So there's no Mushu.
I was going to ask that.
There's a phoenix that kind of like and flies in the background.
He's the Emperor's protector or something? Or is he her protector?
Her protector. And he's garbage. He doesn't even do anything. Yeah. It's bad CGI that flies around in the corner. And during the movie, Mulan is like born with super chi. And so there are like some tips of the cap to like Asian filmmaking, like IP Man and things like that. And the guy that stars in IP Man.
That's so good.
Which I would
watch that over and over and over.
Sure. I
finally got Kale into Kung Fu, by the way, with that movie.
Nice. But this is garbage.
Yeah.
And they speak a lot of the lyrics to the songs. And so the songs aren't in there. One of the things about Beauty and the Beast that was cool is that it stayed true to the songs. And Emma Watson, right? Yeah, Emma Watson has a great voice. And with Mulan, it didn't do that. Instead, what they did is they would be playing some like really basic, you couldn't even notice it, background music, right?
Like thematic music,
and then so in particular, the one song that I'm thinking of is "A Girl Worth Fighting For."
Yeah, that's an awesome song.
It's great, right?
Yeah.
And so there'd be like this weird.
The only one who would love him is his mother,
right?
Yeah.
Now that we've done that voice for 100 different people in the show, so we're watching the movie, and Mulan and 3 guys, right? And only one of them is one that you recognize. The other guys are supposed to have really important roles in her life and all this, and they're just dudes.
So they didn't build up the cast around her?
No.
Okay, yes.
No.
Because those 3, there was the big, bald baby guy. There was the short guy with the mutton chop.
Uh-huh.
And like there was some other
they have
guy.
a big goofy kind of archer guy that's supposed to be him, but he doesn't get any line. He just smiles a couple of times like a sort of rotund cheer.
That's too bad, because that was a fun movie.
It was great.
Mulan was a really fun movie.
And I think it just plays off the nostalgia.
And it gave go ahead.
And so like in particular with the Girl Worth Fighting For scene, they speak the lyrics. There is hardly any background music that's noticeable, and then like after they do it, you just hear an instrument go, and that's it.
That was it? They didn't sing the song?
No, they spoke the lyrics in the chorus of like, what matters is what she cooks like. And they're like, no, I want a girl that speaks her mind. They're like, okay. And it's like that for all of the good songs.
Well, they had an opportunity with this movie. The biggest opportunity that they had was to bring back the Mulan Szechuan dipping sauce. And they did not do that.
They didn't do that.
It would have pleased the Rick and Morty fans of the world.
It would have done a ton.
Well, it would have pleased them, but they probably would have burned the city down too.
Yeah, no, I mean, they did that whenever they brought the sauce back.
I went to go get in line.
Yeah, good luck.
I went to several McDonald's. So what we're referring to is Rick and Morty, the TV show. He makes Rick, the titular character, makes a reference. He goes back in his mind, or he gets trapped going back in his mind, and the only thing he wants to do is go replay this memory where he goes to McDonald's back in 1994 and gets his Mulan Szechuan dipping sauce, and he's obsessed with it. Shortly after that, McDonald's announced that they were going to bring it back for a limited time, and then the world burned down because all of the 30 to 50-year-old men fans went out to every McDonald's demanding it. I was one of them, but I was very nice. I just went through the drive-thru and said, "Do you have Mulan?" They said, "No, we're out." I said, "Okay, thanks." It was a very underwhelming story, but I did finally get to try it in Amarillo. I was traveling, and they had some, and I tried it, and it was awful.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine that you would want to get it for anything more.
It's freaking McDonald's.
Yeah, Now, what a bizarre thing.
I knew that it was going to be awful, but I wanted to try it. So, anyways, they had the opportunity to make a good movie and bring back the dipping sauce, but they didn't because of racism.
Oh my gosh! Wait, they actually said they didn't because of racism?
There was some. I remember seeing when they were making the movie that they talked about it, and they said, "Well, it's Mulan Szechuan sauce is a little."
On the nose, it's cultural appropriation.
There you go. That's what it was.
Oh, gosh.
So they put it back out for a little bit, but it was just Szechuan sauce. So I don't know if that was the magic that was missing, is it needed the Mulan movie branding on it, but it was probably not good.
Yeah, no doubt it wasn't good because it is a dipping sauce from McDonald's.
I know.
There are two restaurants or two fast food chains that make good dipping sauces.
Chick-fil-A.
Uh-huh.
Cane's.
Okay, 3. And I will put the chicken finger places in ones because like Cane's and Zaxby's and there's another one that are all similar enough that their dipping sauces are good.
So where else has a good dipping sauce?
Mm-hmm.
Whataburger?
Yeah.
Fancy ketchup?
Yep, the fancy ketchup and the Chipotle ketchup. Like that's it. So good.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
Fancy ketchup.
It is fancy. So we have We've talked about this a couple of times with our audience, but we haven't actually done anything about it.
There's a lot of things that fall into that category.
Yeah, I know. But today, what I'm talking about more in particular is our
I like it. I don't know
our Christmas present challenge.
Oh yeah.
So we have decided that we are going to try to have a 6-pack by Christmas.
By Christmas.
Yeah, abs by Christmas is the goal. So we're going to start a diet this week. In order to do that. And have you ever listened to the comedian Nate Bargatze?
Yeah.
Okay, so he does a bit about wearing an Under Armour shirt. Have you heard it?
No.
And so he talks about
he wants to not look bad in an Under Armour shirt.
Well, so what he talks about, he was like, my friend, I decided I want to go to the gym, and so my friend gave me this Under Armour shirt. He's like, and so I squeezed into it. And he's like, have you ever worn one of these shirts? He's like, I look better with no shirt on than with that shirt on.
Yeah.
Like he goes, all I would have to do is like go to the. He's like, if you ever go to the plastic surgeon, all they need to do is give you one of these shirts to squeeze into, so they can just look at you and be like, well, obviously you see where the problem is. So
here.
Yeah. So I think instead of us taking our before pictures with like shirtless or whatever, I think what we need to do, I've got a couple of Under Armour compression shirts. I think we need to squeeze into Under Armour compression shirts and do our before pictures.
That's an awesome idea.
In the Under Armour compression shirts. Yeah, because it's going to highlight everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what we do.
I'm going to try to make it look as awful as possible.
I'm not going to have to put any effort into making that happen.
So that on the flip side, once I'll get a tan and... I won't have to do anything except for that, and I'll automatically look better.
Yeah.
Except that I want to do this too.
Right. And it'll be good for... So the idea is that on Christmas Day that our wives will have...
they'll get to unwrap.
Yeah. They'll have husbands with 6-packs.
And then we'll ruin it one day later.
Yeah. Then on the 26th, we will eat ourselves into comas and in the worst stomach pain possible. Yeah. So I told you about the story after my first bodybuilding competition, right?
Maybe. I don't remember.
So my very first bodybuilding competition, I was competing in the Ronnie Coleman Classic. I ended up coming in 6th in my category, but it was the first time that I'd ever dieted like that for a competition. And so the last week I was taking in, like I was on the Stairmaster at 5:30 in the morning for an hour and a half. I burned roughly 1,400 calories every morning before I worked out, before I did anything. And then I was only taking in about 780 calories a day. I learned that that's not the way to do this. But I was shredded. I was absolutely...
You don't want to go full psycho?
Yeah, no, like you could trace of the veins from like the top of my head all the way down to my big toes. And you could just trace. It was disgusting. Anyway, so I placed 6th. I was really frustrated, disappointed. And on my way home from the competition, I decided to stop at the grocery store and then at Wendy's. And when I was at Wendy's, I ordered Dave's Thick and Juicy Triple with bacon and extra cheese, with a large fry, a large Dr. Pepper, 2 of the 5-piece nuggets, and a large Frosty. And so I ate
I wish I had your recall. Because, like, in addition to...
Oh, let me just tell you why I remember what I ate.
Okay.
So I ate all of that. On my way home, I stopped at the grocery store and picked up a Sara Lee cheesecake. And when I got home, I ate the entire cheesecake.
Okay. Yeah, you're asking for it.
2 hours later,
yeah,
I woke up and was in, like, the most incredible pain I'd ever been in my life. Like, my gut was distended. You couldn't see my abs anymore. I looked like I was about 7 months pregnant. And every 2 hours after that, like clockwork, I was having to wake up, and I slept downstairs that
just
night.
at the toilet,
just
puking.
done. No.
Okay.
Not at all. But because of how rigorous the diet is, like, my digestive system was not ready. I hadn't had anything other than like chicken or fish in weeks.
So you got like the weight loss version of the bins.
Yeah. That's exactly what it was.
You came up too quick.
Because I took the world's...
too much nitrogen.
Well, it was the world's most greasy food, right? In that the thick and juicy triple with bacon. And what I didn't take into account was the amount of fluid that was in the Biggie Dr. Pepper. And why I didn't take it into account was because I hadn't had more than a cap full of water over the previous 2 days, because you have to dehydrate yourself, right? So that there's no water between your skin and your muscles, so that they can see all the striations in your muscle and stuff whenever you're getting judged. So I was going incredibly hard. And that plus the 3 or 4 bottles of juice that I drank whenever I got home, I had retained so much water.
Yeah, you keep adding stuff.
That, like...
You're like, I had juice and triple burger.
So like, I remember all of those things, and I remember, like, my feet hurting.
That's a lot for a normal dude.
Well...
Big dude.
And so my feet were hurting that night. Well, I remember, like, the next morning, like, I drank some juice, and I had a couple of bottles of water, and that, like, my knees just were sore. My ankles were sore. And so I went to church, came home, and I remember thinking, like, most guys say that, like, the day after the competition is when they look the best. And I did not look my best. Like, my veins were disappearing. I couldn't figure out what was going on until I took off my shoes. My ankles had swollen up to about 3 times their size. Yeah, because I was holding so much fluid.
Yeah.
And then what I found out was that when your body doesn't have fluid for that long, then it tries to retain everything because it doesn't know when it's going to get it again. But when your ankles start to swell up like that, you're actually holding fluid on your heart. And so I was having trouble breathing, and so then I had to adjust what I was doing in order to I had to take a couple of diuretics in order to try to flush my system out of the water. So that started on Saturday night. It wasn't until the Friday following, so almost an entire week before I was back to normal. And, like, feeling the next bodybuilding competition that I did, I actually won, and then, like, slowed up and, like, was, like, cheated a little bit. It was reasonable. I only had, like,
you got $1 cheeseburger on the way home.
No, I had a pizza.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a large.
But you just had a pizza.
A large. It was just a pizza.
It wasn't
and
a cheesecake and 4 juice boxes and a large Dr. Pepper and 5 boxes of chicken nuggets.
That's exactly right. So I ate the large pizza. I had a can of Dr. Pepper and a bottle of water, and I drank half the bottle of water and half the can of Dr. Pepper. And then that was it. And then the next day I woke up and I was like, I mean, I won, but if I would have showed up like this, I would have won. They would have given me, like, extra trophies. I was like, this is what everybody must have been talking about. So but we are going to diet safely this time.
So after a competition is the day that you look the best. So after you've broken your diet, you look better the next day.
But most people do, because you're so cautious going into the competition that you don't want to overload anything.
Okay.
And because you get carbs.
I was like, why would you not break the diet before?
Right. Because
that makes sense.
Yeah, because you get carbs the next day, they fill up all the void in the muscle strands, and you swell up, and your muscles and everything.
Like yoked. It's a word that I learned from.
You doofus. And you can't, like, if, for instance, like the second competition, everything, Arnold talks about it in the movie Pumping Iron, everything gives you, like, that really pumped up feeling you get whenever you work out. You know, you can feel, like, the blood pumping in the muscles. Okay, so, like, when I opened the car door, like, there was a pump in my arm. When I picked up my Bible, there was a pump. When I got out of the car and stood up, like, everything because I had so much carbs in my system and my system had been depleted of them. Like everything just
felt like a superhero.
Oh man, everything's just making me the Hulk. Like each new step I take, I'm like, of course, I was like 160 pounds, so it's like, ba-ding, ba-ding. But I felt huge. So
that's awesome. But I'm excited to do this because
I think so too. I mean, I also am.
I've done it before. I got into it gradually. I did keto and then started working out, and I loved it. And then moved, and COVID hit. And
are you going to do bullet coffee? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, bulletproof coffee.
Yeah,
it's you can do it different ways, but it's butter, heavy cream.
I never did the heavy cream. I only did butter.
There's other things you can add too.
Yeah,
I did it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I'd start with a cup of coffee. Well, I would go work out first,
right?
So I was still fasted, but I'd break my fast with bulletproof coffee sometimes. Yep. Butter. I'm trying to remember what else I put in. A little cocoa powder.
Yeah, the thing that
it's not that weird. It sounds weird, but it's not. It doesn't taste that bad.
So the thing that I'm most sad about with this diet is
what are you doing?
My new latte machine is so awesome that my wife got. We talked about this on the. No.
Why?
Like I can take the espresso shots.
Yeah.
But it's gonna put me so far over my sugar limit that I can't.
If you do the full latte.
If I put enough milk in the container to steam it.
What about almond milk?
Then yes. No, what's wrong with you? Almond milk?
You can steam it. It doesn't make a good froth.
No, it's horrible.
I will agree. But
I don't care
can
if you
do
agree.
It's try the heavy cream. I wonder what that would do.
It just depends on how much sugar's in it. Or
there shouldn't be any.
Or how much fat's in it. Because I'm gonna go.
Are you doing full fat? Like you're doing
a
version of keto?
Gonna go. Yeah. So the diet that works for me the best is to go low sugar and lean. And so what I'll do is I'll have all my carbs probably before noon.
That sounds terrible.
I'll tell you, like it really does. But when I'm on a diet like this, my body is so efficient. I actually feel the best. So I'll probably have like 6 meals a day. Breakfast will be between 8 and a dozen eggs. And I'll do,
which that's not lean.
A couple. So
it's like half and half, right? Half fat.
Well,
half protein.
Okay. So if I did between 8 and a dozen eggs, what I would do is if I did 8, I would do
take some of the yolks
4 eggs and then 4 egg whites.
Got it.
Right. And then the same thing if I did a dozen, it would be 6 eggs and 6 egg whites. And then
how do you prepare it? Is it just scrambled?
Yeah. Fried? So I found a good friend of mine is a chef, and he has this thing called 7-minute eggs. If you've ever seen Gordon Ramsay make eggs, it's how he does it. Right. So you take it, you put them in a bowl, you whisk it up really good until the yolks are all broken up, and until like when you pull the whisk out that it's runny. Right. So it doesn't plop. It's not gooey or like slimy. It's just runny. And then you put your pan on high, your oven on high.
You don't salt and
your
pepper
stove
yet, right?
On high. No.
That's how Gordon Ramsay. I've seen him do it.
Yeah. And so
he said if you put it on before that it keeps the fluff, whatever happens that makes the eggs end up fluffy.
Mm-hmm. It
stops that.
So and then you put the stove on high, and then for 30 seconds you're on it and you're whisking the whole time. And so for 30 seconds you're on the heat and you whisk, and then you take it off for 30 seconds and back on and then off until they're at the consistency that you want them, and then you can throw some salt and pepper on it. And when you do that, they actually taste really cheesy. So it's delicious. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work for eggs. And then so the rest of the day I'll do chicken and spinach or chicken and broccoli, maybe bell pepper. I'll keep the carbs really low if there are any. And then the only other time that I'll have carbs throughout the day will be at night, where I'll have a cup of Greek yogurt made with whole milk. And so I get quite a bit of carbs at that of the evening, 2/3 cup. But it's a lot of like good bacteria on your stomach, keeps your metabolism high, and it's good protein right at the end of the day. So my protein will be probably around 200 grams of protein a day. Fat and carbs will both be below 30, and I'll be pushing probably like 1,900 calories. And
you're lifting weights during this?
And I'll be lifting in the mornings and then probably doing an hour cardio.
That was my favorite thing when I went on the diet.
Oh, lifting weights is great.
Because I started on this track and walking because I was really out of shape. And then eventually I'd be running. And then I got shin splints. And then I had to go back to walking. And then I got the bravery to go to the weight room. Because at first I was like, I'm a poser. I don't know anything about this.
Right.
Eventually I went in.
And you were using the FST7 program, right?
Yes.
The one that I sent to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started out with that.
Yeah.
And I added it to my there's an app.
The workout app.
No, it was I don't remember the name of it, but
because it's got like a blue weight on it.
Yeah. Okay, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Maybe you must have sent that to me.
You actually sent it to me because you were giving me updates on your Apple Watch about like what was happening.
Yeah, you haven't gotten an update in a while, have you?
And no. And on your watch, you were giving me updates for your workouts. Well, I could never find that feature on my watch, so I thought it might have had something to do with your app. So I paid for this app for a year, never used it, thinking it would give me the workout thing. Finally found the thing on the watch that shows the workout, and I was like,
But yeah, it was a lot of fun because
no doubt,
because I knew there were, you were probably the one at first that.
It's called Strong.
Strong, that's what it was called. That would know what I was doing. Like if I sent it to Heather, she I don't know what 4 times 6 of this is or why I should care about that. But yeah, it helped me stay engaged in the beginning, knowing that you were getting those notifications.
It does help with a bit of the accountability.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things that I think people don't take enough of a stock in is that, like, when you enter into something like a workout program, for instance, that going into it in partnership with somebody is so much more helpful than trying to do it alone. And I think that might be the case in any endeavor, right? But having a workout partner, or even if you don't have a workout partner, having somebody that's holding you accountable to it or just checking in on you or that you're sending check-ins to. I mean, there were so many times that I got the update on the watch or whatever, and I'd just click like, hey, good job or awesome or whatever, right?
The Apple Watch is a really good thing with that, where you don't have to think about it.
Companion.
You can just say, good job.
Yeah.
It's just real quick and easy on your part.
And then it's over, right? Yeah. So I really, really loved that aspect of it. But I tend to find that even as self-motivated as I can be in most areas of my life, and how much being at the gym helps me in discipline just across the board, that the more I am,
that too.
It's crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I have a group of guys that I'm meeting at the gym, or a workout partner, or somebody that I know is going to hold me accountable, not only am I more likely to do it, but my workouts are better. I feel better all the way around, and it is just incredibly helpful. So that's, I can't encourage people enough how much community will play a part in you being able to hit your goals. Like, there's certainly intestinal fortitude and stick-to-itiveness and discipline, but community helps those things leaps and bounds.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you're scared of going to the weight room, like I was.
No doubt.
Like I was, and my wife was after that, because she got me into working out because she wanted to go walk first, and she convinced me to do it, and I ended up loving it. I went to the weight room, and she never wanted to go. She was like, I don't belong in there, and they're going to judge me. And
I don't belong in there.
Yeah, I mean, she thought that.
Oh,
she
yeah,
thought,
for sure.
they're going to judge me, these big guys or really fit women, and I kept telling her, like, nobody cares.
Yeah,
trust me,
they
nobody
really
cares. They're working on their own deal.
Yeah.
When I'm in there, I put my headphones in and I don't pay attention to anybody else, and I love it.
And there are a lot of people that
I want to get back to that
have never worked out often. They're like, oh, it's narcissistic. There's all the mirrors and the people or whatever.
It's all people trying to be better and trying to
like you check the mirrors. Something. You check the mirrors for your form, but other than like having to look in the mirrors for your form, most of the people that are in the gym, unless they're prepping for a competition or they're in high school, do not use the mirrors.
Yeah, I don't want to look at them.
Yeah, absolutely not. Like they're there to, originally they were there so that you could watch your form.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, like certainly like there's the people that pose in front of the mirrors, but most of them are guys that are getting ready for a competition or gals that are getting ready for a competition, or they're high school kids that are wanting to check out their muscles.
Yeah.
Everybody else that's in there, I say that most other people that are in there are not interested in looking at the mirror at all. Unless I feel like I'm leaning one way or the other, I'm like, please, I don't need to see this happen. Mm-hmm. I don't need to see how the sausage is made. I just want to see the result here in a few weeks.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, as an introvert, I just wanted to, again, I never really, I can't think of one, I can't think of a issue that I had. We're going to have to cut that out and post where I'm just stumbling around.
I think it's awesome. We keep it. It's organic. It's raw.
I actually do like it too. Raw. There was one time that I dropped I was doing a chest press.
Bench press?
Yeah, bench press. And I was laying down on the table.
Right. On the bench.
Yeah, whatever it's called. Again, no one taught me. I just watched YouTube videos and I don't know what all the technical names are. I know most of them, but I just did the barbells and the dumbbells. Those are my favorite. Mm-hmm. But anyways, it fell down as it does pretty much every. Luckily, there was like 125 pounds. It wasn't like it was going to kill me, but Heather had her headphones and I took my shoe off and threw it at her. I was like, come on. Finally, somebody else came by. So,
the weight fell on you?
Yeah.
And you couldn't lift it off?
I'm trying to remember exactly how that happened, but yeah. Fell on me.
So was it like, were you pushing up and then you failed and it like slowly came down?
Yeah.
Because that's the worst.
That's the dangerous one.
And like realizing that
because I realized it before it came down. I was like, oh, no.
Yep. So I got really cocky at the gym and like got my bench press to where it was in like the mid 300 range. And then I decided like after I had done a few reps with them, like in the high twos, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take 135. So it's the bar, a regular Olympic bar with a 45 plate on each side, and just rep it out for 15 or 20. And I get to like 15, I hit 16, 17, I'm going for 20. I'm like, I got 20. 18 doesn't quite go.
Yeah.
And I am giving it everything that I have. And this thing is coming down on me, and it's like a slow death. And then when it hits your chest and you've got no more gas left.
That's what happened.
Well, I was working out at the gym late at night. There was nobody else over in the free weight area. So I had to like slowly
kind of roll off or roll it onto your stomach.
No, yeah, I like slowly rolled it onto my stomach until it hit my hips and I could sit up, and then just like tried to get my arms under it so they didn't crush anything important and roll it off. And then
that is a humbling experience.
Oh my gosh. And especially because I was moving a substantial amount of weight prior to that.
Yeah.
Like over double that. I was like, this is not like this is easy. It's gonna be
respect the weights, bro.
Holy smokes! Like and especially when it's a weight that you should be able to move, and it just the slow death of it, which is another reason why it's so important to
have a buddy.
Yeah, and if you're gonna be in the weight room, if you're gonna work out alone, ask for a spot. It's just not worth it. The gym is the worst place possible to have an ego. Mm-hmm. You are. I mean, well, my knee is evidence of that, right? Mm-hmm. And it really is. It's just the worst place possible to have an ego. You have so much to lose by being arrogant around the weights, because gravity is the law.
Yeah.
And no matter how heavy you think something is, gravity will win the battle the majority of the time. And eventually it will win the battle every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I did it before. I lost a little over 80 pounds.
No way.
Yeah. I was over 300.
So how close are you to...
I'm 30, 40 pounds beneath that starting weight.
Okay.
But I do not want to go further back up to scale.
Right. So what's your goal? Like, do you want to lose? And I'm not asking for like your...
No, that's fine.
Your weight goal.
I think a number is helpful because it's easiest for me to... Because I was real driven. Like I've got a Bluetooth scale. I'd step on it, syncs up with my Apple Health and logs the weight, which, by the way, I did for the first time after like 6 months. And the Apple Health said, no, it was the app for the scale. I don't remember what it's called. Doesn't matter. Right. But I logged in and said, "Is this a different person?" It seems like it actually said that. Oh man!
Yeah. Yikes!
Yeah.
But I hate being shamed by technology.
I know. But anyways, that was really helpful to me to go. I actually did I said when I got to 260, this is way back in the day, that I'm going to let my son wax my chest. I thought it would be funny. It ended up being funny.
Well, no doubt.
It ended up being funny because I laid down on the kitchen table and my mom and my aunt and my cousins were all there. They thought it was hysterical.
Yeah.
And then my mom was like, I want to do some. And then I don't remember what she said, but she's like, do you remember
oh, yeah.
Do you remember when you threw the darts at the board? She got to punish me for.
That's awesome.
But it was a fun thing.
Okay, so what's your goal?
I would love to get to 225.
Okay.
Now, if I'm working out, I'm putting on muscle.
Mm-hmm.
But I stalled last time at 230, I believe, 235.
Okay.
I just stalled there forever. Didn't get any lower than that.
Okay.
So ultimate goal, if I can get to 225, I'm happy.
225. And Christmas is, what is it, September?
Oh, that's not.
October, November, December. I mean, we've got 4 months.
I don't know if I'm going to get to 225 by then.
I mean, it could happen. It just depends on how much we want to restrict the diet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's restricting the diet plus upping the exercise and everything else.
I'm going to do keto because that was
smart.
That was very doable for me.
Yeah. And like so many people are doing it now.
I like everything on it.
Yeah, and so many people are doing it now that you have a lot of options that you didn't have before.
Mm-hmm.
As far as
I've already done it.
I've
already done it.
Yeah.
I'm going to lose 25 pounds in the first 3 weeks because I have been eating like garbage for so long.
Right.
I'm not saying I'm actually going to lose that, but there's a lot you lose in the beginning.
Especially if your body's done it before, like it knows the gig.
Yeah.
And if you start doing it, it's like, oh, hey, we're supposed to be burning all this stuff. Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
I think I'm shooting more for a body fat percentage, right? So where I was when I was getting ready to compete in 2019, I was 184 pounds and I was right at 8% body fat. I really want to be back into the single digits of body fat and would love to be at least high 60s, low 70s. So when I say that, I'm thinking like if I'm under 10% body fat and I'm in like the 172, 173 range, that would make me happy. Now, in order for that to happen, I'm going to have to work out hard to be able to put on muscle and be able to feed that. But it's also going to mean that I'm looking more of a body fat percentage than an overall weight loss. Because right now, I'm not too far away from that. I'm like in the low 180s. I'm like 181. But I'd like to see myself, lose 12, 13 pounds, but then pick up the muscle on the other end.
That's kind of what I was saying. It's hard.
That's the tough part.
It's hard to set a weight goal when you're also adding muscle because that's going to screw with your, just weight loss.
Which is why I think like the idea of abs is really a good one because there are sometimes when the scale is the best tell and other times when it's the mirror, right? Because there is that sort of threshold that you hit where your fat loss and your muscle build cause you to feel like you've plateaued, but the scale may be telling you one thing, but the mirror tells you something different. Like you're like, no, like I definitely look bigger, or I look like I'm toning up in this area or that area or whatever. And I think that's an important thing to remember is that sometimes the scale's the best judge, and other times the mirror's the better judge. And so it's important to use both.
I agree because there were times that I would. For a whole week. I mean, really, when I got on it, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But still, there were times I'd be like, oh, I'm killing it. I look at the scale. I'm like, nothing.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that we're discussing this because it just dawned on me. I have been hesitant to go back to the gym because I don't want to spend the money to go back to the gym.
Yeah.
But it just dawned on me.
And it's
also
unprecedented times.
Yeah. But I also am going to have to either spend money at the gym or buy a new wardrobe from where I'm at now.
Yeah.
So I should just spend the money to go to a gym. It's way cheaper.
Yeah. Than having to buy.
Because I've been thinking about that a lot. I was like, can I get a new pair of jeans? And
it's not worth
$75 easy.
Yep.
I may as well just go to the gym and wear all my clothes that I have.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that.
I'm fit back into them.
I've got a Bowflex at home, but
it's not the same.
I don't like it, and it's in the garage, and I want some dumbbells, and if I'm going to do it at home, I want that. I don't want the Bowflex.
So much of it too is the gym experience, especially when it's free weights.
Mm-hmm.
Is getting to do it, being in an environment that is geared towards that, right? And I think that's just such an awesome thing. I'm looking forward to it. I started back in the gym today, so I did shoulders today, and did parts of
did some shrugs.
Yeah, I did. I got a couple of. Well, no, I think we did 5 sets of 20 on the shrugs, which was really good. So a nice little burn. But I'm excited about it. I'm happy that the gyms have reopened. Happy that the gyms in our area have reopened safely, and I'm ready to roll, man. This is one of the things that I'm excited about because my goal was to have abs by the wedding, and when the gyms shut, well, really when I had to have the double mastectomy, it threw me off.
Yeah,
because I was on par for it. I had 2 of 6 abs that I know that I have. I've seen them.
What do you do? What do you do to go? Oh,
no. Go ahead. What
do you do to get abs? You do work your obliques. You do a lot of crunches. You do.
Well, most of it's diet.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So I'd say diet, and then doing squats and deadlifts with like.
Can you do that?
Light to light. Yeah, I can do squats and deadlifts.
Okay.
So doing them with light to light medium weight without a belt, right? So like if I get up into where I'm doing anything heavy, I use the belt.
Without the belt because that gives you it doesn't give you the support. Your muscles are having to do that.
Right, and with the belt, like a good belt, you don't use a good belt in order to give like muscular support. You use a belt to give your belly something to push against, and that's what a lot of people don't understand with like a weightlifting belt. Like if you look like at the Australian Strength Coach, or look at the guys that do like the World's Strongest Man competitions, or a lot of the guys that do the professional powerlifting, they'll put the belt like almost in the middle of their gut. The Australian Strength Coach, he puts his like at an angle at the very top of his belly. But whenever they're done lifting, the belt like just slips down. And the reason is because
it's contracted the whole time, or
right, because you pull the belt up and then you pooch out your stomach and your abdominal wall as far as it'll go, so that as you're breathing in, doing the exercise, and then breathing out, your entire core is engaged and flexed at max, and the belt gives it something to push against in order to prevent herniation.
I have always wondered. I see that stupid belt. I'm like.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, it's a back support.
Yeah,
so
that's what I thought.
It lets you know that it's there, but the real reason is so that your entire core can push against it in order that you're fully engaged in the exercise. And the tighter the belt is, the more likely you are to like completely engage. The reason that those guys have the belts that like slip down and are really loose is because a lot of them like completely blow out all of their air in order to get it down around their waist. And then we'll suck it in like the old Fred Flintstone thing. And then as soon as they let go, their guts, pounding against it. But that's one of, when you do medium heavy to heavy weights, doing a belt to have something to push against can be a remarkable way to improve your lifts as far as like your numbers and stuff go. But if you really want to work on your abs, then squats and deadlifts without a belt,
if I'm being honest,
are going to be tremendous. If you're worried about building core strength,
which
squats,
I should,
yes, squats and deadlifts without a belt, because it's not just abs, it's also low back. And that's a really important thing. And there's a lot of form things that you got to do in order to prevent back injuries in those things. But there are very few things you can do that create the amount of strength that does. So
I never really got into the deadlifting, but I started doing the squats.
Oh, man, deadlifts are one of my favorite exercises. And I suck at them because I've got tiny little Tyrannosaurus Rex arms, Like I really do. So like when I deadlift with a lot of my friends, like their arms will come to like their mid-thigh. Well, I'm oddly proportioned, right? So I've got a long femur bone, but I got short arms. And so when I'm a good bench presser, and I'm a good squatter because I've got a lot of muscle in my leg, and then I don't have as much travel in my arms whenever I go to bench press. Deadlift has always been the thing that's the hardest for me because I have to, in order to get full extension, right, I'm actually lifting about 2 inches more than somebody else my size would normally because my arms are shorter. Like if you look at them, you don't look at me and be like, oh, his arm's so short. I don't look like one of those weird like Doonies from Saturday Night Live sketch. But when I'm lifting, you can tell because the bar comes up above my mid thigh, and you'll look and be like, oh, okay. So it's about 2 inches more travel, and I don't know how it is for a regular person, but I definitely feel it. And in every lift that I make, that I'm having to move I really feel like I'm having to move this stuff a long way. But I also subscribe to the Eddie Hall theory that the strongest man in the world is really, when we look at it, as not just like the events and stuff, but it's when you think about who the strongest guy is, it's the guy that can pick up the most weight off the ground. And that's what the deadlift is. You're taking a weight, you're picking it up off the ground and holding it up.
So is he the strongest man in the world?
He has the record for the best deadlift of all time, 500 kilograms, which I think is 1,102 pounds.
He's crazy.
It's a
and he is so
miracle.
Funny too.
He is.
I got onto him from watching Brian Hall or Brian
Shaw.
Brian Shaw.
Yeah. Yeah. So Eddie, after he did that lift, he passed out. His nose bled. He burst blood vessels in his eyes, and he couldn't see for 20 minutes. A phenomenal lift, but pretty scary. And his wife was like, "Never do that again, Eddie. I love you too much."
Yeah, he's really funny to watch because he will just screw around in the gym the whole time, and he'll pick fights with his best friends, and
he's an antagonist.
Yeah, he is.
But he really seems like a genuinely good dude.
Yeah,
also.
He seems cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, sweet.
Well, hey, we do not have a sponsor for this week's episode, so what we really need is subscribers.
Yeah.
So
like and subscribe.
Right, like and subscribe. Roll up a $5 bill.
Yep, just shove it
in the USB slot.
Yeah, and if you have a USB-C slot, then what you can actually do is pop the chip out of your credit card and just jam it in there.
Make sure you hold it in there for at least 45 seconds.
Yeah. And then when your computer shuts down and beeps at you, we've received your payment.
Thank you.
And please don't do any of that stuff. Yeah. Tap to pay, just like smush your computer screen with it. Yeah. Bash your monitor a few times.
No sponsor, but a super fun episode.
Yeah. Hey, thanks everybody for listening and for watching. Do like and subscribe. Remember, this is shot in front of a green screen, so don't double think whenever you check it out. And
read 1984, and if you go
and the new Batman comic,
and if you go to Galaxy's Edge, 10 o'clock and 2 p.m.
Yeah, 10 o'clock and 2 p.m. right now, but it'll change whenever they go back to
so make sure you get there first and sign up so you can go see Rise of the Resistance.
Yep.
And you can join the First Order, which is an odd choice.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've heard about the ride. Like I said, I didn't get to do it.
Of all of the groups to join, the First Order is probably last on my list.
Really?
The Empire's number one.
Naturally.
Then the Rebellion.
Uh-huh.
If I have to, the First Order.
Oh, see, you're leaving out important groups.
What else? What did I forget?
Empire?
The Mandalorian sect?
No, okay, so if it's me, right?
Uh-huh.
Clone Army.
Okay.
Because I loved the Clone Wars series.
Mm-hmm.
Rebellion. Empire. And then I think Resistance, First Order, and the last one, Droid Army.
I'm going to add Cantina Band in there as number 3.
And on that, we are out. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll catch you next week. See ya.